Alrighty, beautiful people, welcome back to the Verdi podcast. I have a very special guest today. Before I introduce him, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. Known him for a long time, a couple of decades. And in that time, I reckon I've seen him change more than almost anyone else in my world. And I'm very proud of him from that. He's experienced a rapid ascendance of growth in all areas of his life. Probably driven mostly by his wife, but we'll touch on her influence. But I've been able to see him level up, question, experience the world in different ways, whilst also having a close connection. He doesn't answer my phone calls, but we managed to grab him and get him on the Verdi pod for at least an hour. So, Porky, Paul, PW World, mate, it's a pleasure.
I can't believe it's taken this long. Thank you.
For me to invite you on?
Yeah.
I wanted to wait till you actually had something good to say.
That was like a PW wrapped over the last 20 years.
I know. Give us the, from your perspective, because obviously like I've seen it from my own experience, but give me a little rundown into your mind as how you look at the last 10, 15 years.
I actually haven't considered it from the perspective that you just said. I don't feel the changes. I just feel like it's just me, been me the entire time. I don't feel like I've had huge seasons of growth or anything like that. Looking back, I can see that, but when you're in it, it's hard to put it into those words. So it's cool to hear it from your perspective. Before I go there, I would also just like to say the same thing here. Even walking through Virtus, still, even when I walk through the door, there'll be a mat that's changed. There'll be a new picture on the wall. And it's been cool to, like, we've been on this journey together. So, yeah, that's been nice too. And
one of the OG Build and Burn I
think members. I did the first deadlift in this gym, actually.
Did ya? There you go. Hey, put that on the wall. That's a good claim to fame.
Yeah. And then now when I walk in...
You still haven't finished the aircon you put on the wall 11 years ago. So
does it work?
Still works, so carry on.
If it works, it's fine. And then when I walked in today, I was like, Virtus has a life of its own. You don't need to be here, and it carries its own energy. And I was just reflecting on that too. So, yeah, I don't want to go over the top with compliments or anything, but
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you also need a haircut. Let's just balance it out. KP didn't tell me to say that.
Yeah? She aligns with your feelings on that, though. Last night, she's like, I hate it, fix it. I was like, I'm not ready yet.
I'm just jealous.
It's growing on me, baby.
Yeah. Okay, so what
lucky you're wearing a hat.
Your question was just how have I...
Like, how do you reflect on your growth? Because I liked how you said I don't think about it like, move forward, reflect. And I think that's probably part of problem with society and how we run things. There's always like, what's the next thing? And we don't take time to go, okay, well, how far have I actually come? What have I actually achieved? So I think it's I'd imagine it would be a fruitful endeavor for you to like sit here and go, all right, well, how can I articulate, a decade of growth in 90 seconds?
Okay. Well, I would actually like to speak into where I'm at now, which is I almost feel as though I've broken that cycle. I'm out of that loop of what's next, how to grow.
Yeah.
And the problem I had with that was like I need to wait for this future version of me to arrive until I'm complete and I'm of value and I can step into like the next thing.
Yeah.
So I've always been on this seeking loop, not realizing that I had everything that I needed and it was about embodiment and just doing the thing. And I've finally done that. So that was a pretty exhausting loop to be in. I think it's really common for people. Yeah. And it's a big relief to be at this stage now where I can be like, oh no, I'm sweet with who I am. I could not listen to another podcast, watch another video, read another book. I'm not going to do those things. I'm still going to read books and stuff like that. But it's also nice to be like, it's time to apply the knowledge. Like critical mass has been reached.
Yeah.
So I've closed that seeking loop. But anyway,
getting
back on track.
That's good.
To reflect on the growth journey. Just I can't imagine doing it another way.
That's cool.
Yeah,
because it's just been like, and I think one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on is like through this series we're talking about like lifelong health and well-being, right? But yours has been experiential learning, like every step of the way. Yes, you've been reading like a madman, listening to podcasts, listening to me when you answer my phone calls, talk about the world and why it should be different. But like everything you've gone through, you've experienced it yourself, which I think now shifting into the coaching space, and we'll talk about it, now you can utilize your experiences to then help others, transcend where they're currently at, or facilitate their growth, or at least create space for them to potentially lead into.
And what I just actually spoke about then, that's pretty much where I start with my coaching, to be like, what are you reaching for as a shortcut to get to where you really need to get to?
Yeah.
So it plays in perfectly, and it has been good. And like Elise has been saying it to me, my old lady says it to me. A lot of people have said, when I decided to do the coaching, they're like, about time. Can I swear?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. About fucking time. Yeah. Like several people, strangers, like people who have been following me online, like, yeah, it makes sense for you to step into this.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself on the journey that you're explaining, but looking back, yeah, I've had mentors, I've had coaches, I've sort of just been a soundboard for other people along the journey, like yourself. Like we've had good discussions, and so now I get to put on a coaching hat and to do it intentionally, and it's fun because I think my journey has been pretty unique.
Yep, I would agree.
Just with It started probably, it was a performance thing for me back in the day, to be training, to be playing footy, to try and become a better athlete. And then it turned into like, what edge can I get? And then it became more about the cognitive pursuit of, which it ties into performance and stuff, obviously, but it more became like an intellectual pursuit. And then it became, as I got older, about like my health is tanking. So how do I just resettle the foundation of my health and then build out from there? And that's how I would coach people now, is to be like, you probably don't need to worry about all the fancy bells and whistles before you fix the foundation.
Yeah. I think like, because so many people, you're right, go from the performance end first. It's either, I feel, and this is like generalizing massively, and I spoke to Joe about this the other week, of like females, usually it's aesthetics initially into like the growth is to performance, whereas I think is most guys follow the performance into health. You like, you might push too hard or do too much, and then you realize, oh shit, this isn't actually serving me, and this isn't creating a foundation that I can be fit, healthy, capable for the next 40, 50 years, for my family, for myself, for the people around me. So I think that performance first, figuring out health reciprocity after, that's probably the growth that you as a coach, I would imagine, will try and like speed that up for people to be able to like, hey, I've made all these mistakes, I've learned all these things from it. Now this system that you've built because of the shit that's important to you is centered around, okay, well, how do we look after your health first? How do we make sure that you're, knocking over all your big rocks? How do we make sure you're sleeping well? You're managing your stress loads. You're eating good, high quality food. You're managing an adequate level of supplements. You're hydrating. All of these things to then do the shit you want to do, because what was important to you, I would imagine, in 2012 is different to what it was in 2018, which is different to what it is now and potentially next year, right? So how is that process for you kind of, and I would love to hear like what your frameworks are. How does that build a framework for you to go, okay, well, this is what's important to me. This is what I've learned. This is how I want to coach people. Long question, sorry. Just ruminate on it for a second. Silence is a good thing in podcasts, by the way.
Yeah, okay. So this is a realization that I've had lately, and why I have so much clarity, actually. Because I don't typically start with people with, oh, let's get you in the gym. Let's get you drinking water and touching your feet on the earth. I don't typically start with like, let's fix your sleep. Yes, they're like huge levers to pull, but ultimately I can't help myself. And I'm like, who are you? What are you working towards? What else has gone on outside of the training aspect of your current like objectives? And what I've found is people either will set like an arbitrary objective, and when you dig a little bit deeper, it's like, why are you doing that? I spoke about this recently, where it's like, I would just go and do a mini sprint triathlon. And I did it because I just wanted to accomplish something, and it was hard. And I'm like, that's cool. But then when I spent a year running and I had gut issues, now knowing that annihilating yourself with running and causing bulk inflammation in your body can be detrimental to your gut lining,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, oh, why do I care about running?
Yeah.
What do I really care about? And then I had to be like, well, if I stop and think about who I am and what I care about, what I realized too is I've had a wake up call with the way I've been conditioned and programmed to think. And then I'm like, where am I building from? Because depending on how far back you strip the conditioning, school, kindergarten, parenting, like the structure of society itself, if you sit here right now, unless you're aware of those things, you're most likely going to tell me, oh, I've got this goal, but it's built on this foundation of sand because you've surrendered your creative potential to think about who you are and what you really want to achieve. You've surrendered that to like the external system that goes, hey, this is what's available to you in this moment. And based on who you are and your skill set right now, like people make decisions from that point. So I personally have had to strip things right back, relearn who I am, and that's part of the journey because it's been physical, but it's also been like emotional, identity level stuff. It's been a spiritual pursuit. It's like those things sort of came before the physical healing for me. And I know that seems wild to strip back that many layers, but I even got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm raw here. Like I've shed my skin. It's time to build from the base. And then I'm like, can I go another layer deeper? And I can, but I won't get into that.
You can if you want.
No, it's not a very effective state of mind to operate from. I mean, it is when you expand out and you experience it, but it took me 12 months to sit in that. And
but I think that like that's something we've spoken about a lot is like a lot of the time you'll be talking about something, I'll be like, I'll ask is this useful or is this helpful? And you have the feedback loop built in to be like, yeah, this is what I need right now. And, some people are willing or ready to go on a 12-month capitulation of self, whereas some people aren't. So it's like, okay, one of the questions I like to ask is like, okay, what do you need right now? Or what do you need right now that you don't have? And like the way you started this podcast was like, okay, we have everything we need inside us. It's only about, digging deep to a point where we can articulate and utilize those capacities, and whether it be mentors, podcasts, books, these things help. I like to think create space for the awareness to go deep.
Yeah, and I think even though it was uncomfortable, and I was like, what's the point of this? I wish I didn't rush through some of those moments that were hard. Relief and wisdom sat right on the other side of the most painful point of that part of the journey. And that's why I was like, I'm really fucking uncomfortable. I'm really disorientated. I need to ground myself. What does that look like? And I used the basic shit they all say the same thing. Just be present, get in touch with nature, enjoy the energy of the people around you, like all those things. I just use those to bring me back down to earth, and I use them to anchor myself to where I needed to be to then build out again. But I was like, I never built from that baseline, from that base level. I never had the chance to stop and think like, if I build something and 10 years down the track, I'm like, why the fuck did I just do this? Did I just waste 10 years of my life?
Yeah.
I have had that a little bit when in the past would say like my air conditioning career. Like that was really good. That did serve me. It's made me who I am. That's fine. But I potentially could have been a little bit further ahead if I knew who I was back then.
But this is like further ahead by whose metrics, right? By society's metrics, right? Because like I've seen this, and like deciding what's important to you, I think, is a fundamental part of getting to, maybe it's our age, or like getting to being an adult or a father or whatever aspect of it, fundamentally understanding what you want, what you value, what's important to you, not because your partner or society or your colleagues or your friends think that that's important to you, but because it's actually important to you. You would have read Plato's allegory of the cave at some point. So essentially, we'll dive into, I'll send you some stuff. It's like, and I'll butcher it because it's a little bit more expansive than this, but essentially it's like, the idea is people are living in a cave and all they see of the outside world is a reflection on the back wall of the cave. So it's only what the people or the world that's happening right in the entrance of the cave, that's what they see and that's what they picture or envision the world to be. And when we come out of the cave and actually experience the world for what it is, like for me, that's self-awareness. That's being able to go, oh shit, I know next to nothing. and that's a good thing. And life, there isn't actually a divine reason or meaning to all of this. That's a good thing. Now I get to decide what's important to me, what I value, what behaviors I'm gonna lean into, and what decisions I'm gonna make based off what I now know. And then it just ends up being a level of transcendence where your process through aircon mechanic to someone that comes in silicons, the things that are leaking in my gym, to coach, to philosopher dad now, which we love.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah.
Yeah. You can give yourself whatever title you want. For me, that's just they're transferable skills that allow you to step from one to the other, right? And I think that one of the things that, I'm fortunate enough that I talk to people a lot about what's important to them and where they're going and what they do and what they want most. And it starts out, I want to lose weight, I want to get stronger, I want to perform. But when we break down into the why and what is actually important to you, we realize that most of us just want mostly the same things, right? We spoke about it before, is to love and be loved, to feel valued and wanted, and to be able to develop and grow in a way that is both challenging and rewarding, right? So I think you can look at your last decade and go, I've wasted it, or you can go, this has been this is part of my story. These are chapters that I had to go through to get to here. Would I have liked to get there faster? Absolutely, but you didn't, so bad luck. Here we are now.
True,
and all we can worry about is now. And you also mentioned before the future version of you're waiting for that. You have been waiting for that, and you're kind of getting your head out of that space now. Is past doesn't exist, future doesn't exist. I love the analogy of the present is just the page of the book you're reading, right? Until you finish that page, nothing else exists before or after. Now you can look at your life and go, shit, yeah, what am I going to do next? Which I think is exciting. Tell me about PW World.
Well, it ties in perfect. By the way, perfect Wallace summary.
Do you like the segue?
Yeah, you just don't let me.
Sorry, I did talk too much.
You just don't let me say anything that's absolute, I wasn't. I don't mean to say I regret the last 10 years of my life, but it's the process of personal development is I could have condensed that time a little bit more to be
oh yeah.
But then at the same time,
you would be different now.
Yeah. So
what's the etymology of those things?
Look it up. I just bought an etymology, the real thing. It's about that thick.
Love that.
Yeah,
love that.
So I can't Google it anymore, but
you could just chatty G it.
Well,
conversation for later, maybe.
Segue into PW World.
The language is important. The language we use, how we talk to ourselves, the narratives we construct are important. So now PW World is changing that. PW Universe.
Well, a big part of it is language, and just it's been one of my favourite things when mentors guide me through, or they pick me up on something that I've said, and it could be as little like it happened the other day. This guy said to me, "What are you most proud of this year?" And I said, "I'm just proud." And he goes, "Stop. What do you mean you're just proud?" And you see how that lacks any sort of weight and conviction in what you're saying. So lots of little language patterns like that. I think I'm building into my coaching. When someone says something to me, I'll pick him up on that. And so that's when I've realized, the personal training is what I want to do, but it's also, it feels like I want to be doing more than just personal training. And maybe there's a lot of personal trainers out there that do this kind of thing. But coming back to the direction and the purpose thing, and then what you just went through, I honestly think you're not going to get there unless you step away from the noise and disconnect from the environment around you that's pulling you in lots of different directions. Because unless you're aware, you'll be used as a resource by whatever has the most powerful magnetic pull to you in that moment. And that will be an unconscious thing that you end up putting your effort and energy into. And I'm like, well, a really good way to step away from that pull is to go out into nature. Like I just did recently. I went into a hut out in the woods. It was off-grid. There was electricity there, but I didn't use it. I just used a candle. When the sun went down, I went to bed. It was dark. And when the sun came up, I woke up. And it's I cooked over the fire. I did all these things to strip back, to simplify, to remove the noise. I didn't fucking use Google or ChatGPT to be hey, I'm going to help me build out this goal structure and what does my next year look like? How could you predict what things will pan out like? I just actually realized, I'm you're not getting a true version of what you're projecting. It needs to come from who you are. And you can then input that into it later, but then you don't fucking need to. And so the idea and the philosophy around this is I think people now are reaching for shit like that because it's so convenient. But, and it's a pretty gnarly view. It's a pretty, what do you call it? Like,
Who are you going to die on?
yeah.
Unfiltered opinion.
I don't think that human biology and the human mind is compatible with the systems that we're using to build our lives. So I'm talking like this next phase of how I build my business. I'm not going to have a phone. I'm going to have a paper diary. I'll have a phone, but it's like a Nokia, right?
You don't call me back anyway, so it doesn't
Well, I
matter.
probably will start because I won't be watching like, fight videos on Instagram. But it's really doing my best to strip things back because I honestly do feel like I've outsourced too much of my wisdom and my magic as a human, and whether that's supplements, I explained to you before, myself included, but a lot of people, they'll reach for melatonin to help them sleep, but they'll be on their phone in bed, and then they will get up and they won't go outside and touch their feet on the earth, and all the things that support a healthy circadian rhythm, they won't do that. They'll reach for a melatonin, and then like you can see this thing that it just perpetuates, and you'll just add the next thing. I've been caught in that loop. It's too easy to reach out and to grab something that outsources what you have in you that can help you in the moment. So like what I'm doing in PW world is like, where are you doing that? Simplicity, strip it back. But it's like, if we go away and we're out in the woods together and we're going through this, leave the phone in the car or leave it at home. Yeah. And it's a pen and paper and it's a fucking conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's like I would agree with you like to a point, right? But there's also an element of like these things are, when used correctly, are just tools in our toolbox to potentially enhance and challenge and question the assumptions and beliefs and biases that we have, right? If you and I just went and spent a month in the woods together, like we'd probably cuddle to keep warm and all of that kind of stuff. But outside of that, I would imagine we would explore some things and we would challenge each other's beliefs, but there would be a point where we would potentially fall into a like echo chamber of beliefs and ideas, right? Of like, this is the best thing ever, people need to do this, all of those kind of things, which there's an element of that which is helpful, but there's also an element of like, well, maybe the answer isn't a hut in the woods, right? And you like that? Like the segue? I sent him a YouTube video that's the answer is not a hut in the woods so that he could watch when he got back from the hut in the woods, which all time. But because like I've done similar things over the last couple of years, had a couple of days away with Banksy and some books and my journal, and like while you were in hut in the woods, I was in Perth living pseudo existence the same here but just in different spaces, which was really interesting. But I think that the absolutist conversation is like ChatGPT, for example, is not good or bad. It just is. We can choose how we utilize it and how we rely on it and how we lean on it. And yes, it can be a crutch, but it can also be a brilliant tool to like challenge things, explore things, learn things in a way that, like you were saying before, that you've set yours up to talk to you like you're a tradie, right? Because it allows to simplify, or not necessarily simplify, but change the language, which then allows you to absorb it in a different way. Supplements, same. They're a tool that we can use that if, we live in Alaska and we're not getting any vitamin D, then that can help us, right? But when we use it as a crutch, it's not helpful. So I guess do you have like a framework or a feedback loop that allows you to go, well, is this actually moving the needle or is it not?
Yeah, and I think this is the hill I'm dying on.
Yeah. Reduce.
Yeah, when you're talking, it's almost like, oh yeah, but it is useful. But it's like, as soon as you do that, if you fucking write something and it's a thought that dropped in and it's a blog or it's an email you want to send and it's a true reflection of who you are and what you want, and then you go, I'm just going to put that in chat because it just fucking punctuates it for me. It's way easier. You've just supplemented your own opportunity to learn how to fucking type more efficient.
Yeah, fair.
And let's just say time is money, right? Someone said that to me recently.
Maybe.
And I was making a coffee at home, and our coffee setup's it's a mission. It takes ages. And someone said to me, "Time is money," and I'm like, "Huh." I just realised that is a problem that I have, is doing my best to make it more efficient, make it faster. It's like that fisherman story. I always say this, but the guy who's on the beach fishing,
love this.
He's catching a fish to take home to his family to cook it so they can eat dinner together. And then the next day he's out there fishing, catching fish, and this entrepreneur guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, you realise that if you bought a boat, you'd be able to catch lots of fish, and then you could like sell the fish and make more money, and then you could buy another boat so you could catch more fish. And he's like, you could just build this empire. And then the guy's like, well, why would I do that? And he's like, well, so you could go sit on the beach and do nothing and catch fish and give it to your family.
Yeah.
And like, I know I'm generalizing there.
Oh, but like that's a brilliant parable.
Well, it is, and I'm like, it's so easy to convince yourself. Oh yeah, but it is helpful. It is helpful. And I'm like, nah.
But it tells the story. But then, like, one of the questions I asked you the other day was like, to what end? It's like, okay, well, if that fisherman can go, this is what I want, and this is what's important to me, then he should be able, like, there should be a feedback loop built in there where he's like, okay, this is all I need to do. I don't need to do that, right? But if the goals, and this is why I think understanding what's important to you and what you want, you're right, the burp.
Belched.
Why you're understanding what you want and what's important to you is like the number one thing, because if you understand what you want, then you can just reverse engineer how to get there, right? Like there's, and this is probably, aligns with what you were talking about before about not knowing what the next step was as you were going through your journey. Is like there's three types of goals. There's the goals that, what do you want that you already have? It's like, what do you need to keep doing to have those things, right? There's the goals that is like, what do you want that you don't already have, and what are the steps to get there? You can clearly articulate what the steps are, yeah. And then there's the good stuff, which is what do you want that both scares and excites you at the same time, and what are the first two steps to get there? You can't know all of the steps because otherwise it'd be the middle goal. But what are the steps? And for you, it was, I would imagine, I'm putting words in your mouth, tell me if I'm wrong, it would be that like ascendance and transcendence of who you are, what you're capable of, what your life looks like, to allow it to be more, maybe simple is the word, but also more rich with more depth, because you understand fundamentally what's important to you, why you're doing things, and you're moving the needle in a way that like fills you up and makes you want to keep rocking up to work, whatever that looks like.
Alignment,
coherence,
alignment, and I don't think that's possible to truly be in coherence with your heart and your soul if you're building based on all the distractions that I was talking about before. That's why I think is like the less noise and the further down and the more layers you can strip back, it's really good to build from that place. But I think people are defaulting to the conveniences of how things are now. And I just don't want people to bypass that, and it's going to get stronger and stronger, that pull to default to technology to tell us who the fuck we are and what we want.
Yeah.
I feel like that pull's getting stronger to the point where I've done all the same shit you're doing right now. I'm like, yeah, but I can justify it because it does this calculation quicker for me. It's like, so you can do what? Catch fucking fish and, sit on the beach and catch fish.
Yeah.
Why can't you build a life and a business simplified? Because I honestly don't think that, I think things are getting more and more complicated, and it's making things harder, whereas people are like, all this technology is making things easier, and I think it's overcomplicating things. Because I've been at the spearhead of it.
Yeah, but I think it's both, and I think it's like I can use, let's say, like we use Train Heroic for our programming here, right? It means that every time someone comes into Train, there's a feedback loop of, we get readiness data, we get lifting data, we get like adherence data. That is a feedback loop for us as coaches and our members. And then over a period of time, it's data that then we can either use or choose to use or not use to then influence our decisions, right? Tracking food, same thing. Like we like tracking your money in your bank account, same thing. It's like the more data we have, data isn't necessarily a good thing. It is dependent on what you use it for and why you want it. But more data gives us more information to make better decisions. If your goal is really simple and it's just to, hang out at the beach, catch fish, and it's a very simplified view of our existence, but if that's your goal, then sweet. But if your goal is to, build something that doesn't already exist, or to transcend your current level of understanding and capacity, then we need to find ways, I think, to lean on our allies to help us understand what we don't know, and to shine a light on what our biases are, or our self-limiting beliefs and things like that. And yes, Chatty G is used more as a crutch than anything, but I can say, ask like I've set mine up to email me what it thinks my blind spots are every week. So it sends me, so 3 big rocks for me are family, self, health, wealth, like philosophical understanding of who I am, and Virtus. So I get it to send me a list of what it thinks my blind spots are each week based off the questions I've asked it, right? Or I can say, hey, I'm really struggling to understand why, people rocking up late's bugging me. Can you ask me 10 questions that help me like explore that feeling? Yeah. That can be a helpful tool, but if I use it in lieu of human conversation like this, or if I use it in lieu of the self-awareness and journaling practice that I do intermittently, then it's not useful. So I think, like, for me, the simplicity is this helpful or is this not? If it is, sweet, keep doing it or find a way to do it better. And if it's not, fuck it off. And then we have the, like, because I would agree with you on the most part on the simplicity aspect, especially from a health well-being standpoint. It's like, eat good food, drink enough water, sleep enough, move often enough, pick some heavy things up, make sure your spine's moving in all different directions, and we're pretty good. Yeah, get your heart pumping a little bit. Like, from a training standpoint, if we tick those boxes most weeks, you're probably going to be okay. Thoughts? Sorry for talking so much.
Love it. Don't stop apologising.
This is your pod.
I'm frothing at the bit to jump in. There's lots to report on. There's 2 things I want to say. You talking about, like, hey, tell me what my blind spots are. It just reinforces what feels right for me.
Yeah, good.
Which is, we're fucking outsourcing our own intuition. And that scares me. That scares me to be like, I don't know what my blind spots are. It's like, as soon as you ask chat to say, what are my blind spots, it'll give you the fucking perfect answer.
Maybe.
But then you're not going to flex that muscle, or you're not going to train that muscle of using reflection with your own capabilities as a human that you have access to. You outsource it to technology. And then not only that, the technology is saving all your data too, which is like another discussion. But it all ties in.
I don't think anyone's important enough for it to matter about saving our data. But that's a conversation for another day.
We'll see.
But like I have feedback loops built into my life. Like, this conversation is a feedback loop to try and unlock some blind spots, right? Like, I don't think that I'm necessarily right about the Chatty G thing. I just know that I can use it as a tool to help enhance or optimize or, like, simplify potentially my life. And I can ask it about, like, Plato's allegory of the cave, and it gives me a relatively simple, or I can, find an old translation and read that. But or I can write a page in my journal to ask me why I'm feeling a bit flat or feeling resistance on this thing. All of these things are just tools to build that self-awareness. But if we just rely on this one thing to, like, this holds all of the information, I use it for everything, obviously that's not helpful.
I still just see it. Like, it might not even be the case of it is fucking useful, and I think that's the problem. I think it's too useful.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's too useful. I think it's disconnecting us from the core of who we are, and that's what I'm not liking. And you might get
on the flip side, could it be is it possible that there's an outcome where it's enhancing and shining a light on the core of who we are?
Yes. But
I like that you said yes and instead of yes but.
And then I said yes but. I don't know how else to articulate.
But I think that feedback loops in, like, that's a helpful thing to, like, explore, right?
I don't want
yes and or yes but. Yeah. Like, you can tell, like, because fundamentally you can think I'm wrong, which is great, because then we're challenging. And yeah, we can talk about that as well. More wrong than you are, because otherwise you would hold the same belief system I do. Yeah, which I think is a good thing. Like, I don't want to agree with you on everything. Like, I want to be able to have that, like, friction.
Yes, you do.
Maybe. If you're more right, I believe with you on things.
No, you wouldn't.
Maybe.
Okay, so what I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry.
What was I going to say?
I'm not apologising because I'm sorry. I'm just apologising because this is your podcast and I want to listen to you.
No, I love it. This is perfect. Okay. Because of how useful it actually is, that's the very thing that's pushing me away from it. I just don't think... It's almost like there's this book I'm reading at the moment. It's called The 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. It's elite. It couldn't have landed in my lap at a better time. Yeah. And this guy wrote it in 1978. And he pretty much just talks about why television isn't going to serve humanity.
All the good movies have come out since 1978, though.
Well, not to mention everything else that technology provides us, but that was his point. And like all the things he's talking about, which was, what are they? Let me try and think of them.
What are the four?
You're getting like a curated reality. Mm-hmm. It's mediated. It's not true. But when you watch it every day, your brain's like, oh, this is what's real in the world. But it's not. It's a curated representation of something they're conveying to you.
I want to let you say the four, but I really want to like jump in and like question that, right? Like,
don't worry about it.
No, carry on.
I'll
hold on to that thought.
The second one is, these might not be in order.
That's all right.
It doesn't operate without big institutions funding it because it's an expensive operation. So you're getting controlled distribution of information.
Shout out to Netflix.
It's not compatible with our biology. So the actual technology itself, because we're stagnant. The light coming out of it, the EMFs, because, there wasn't Wi-Fi and Bluetooth around back then, but that's all shit that I think he saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one. But how do I get into this? Oh, I think, so this is what it is. His point is like, he doesn't think that TV should just be used as a tool. He thinks it can't be used as a tool and it shouldn't exist. It feels weird to have this opinion, and I know
but it's not. It's not a weird opinion, right? Like I could say that elements of that are fundamentally true, right? Like, say Fox or Sky News. Does that at the end of the day, is that a net positive or net negative to society? Like, most news stations I would say net negative, right? But if I take like, a movie like, I don't know, Come and See, which is like a war movie from 1985 or something along those lines. Like, does that, like, if you watch that film, are you a fundamentally different person afterwards because of what the journey you go through when you watch it, the experiential learning, not experiential learning, it's like you're experiencing it through the character's eyes, right? So you get to go on a journey, and you can say this for any incredible cinema. You get to go on a journey to experience things that you wouldn't have otherwise experienced. You get to see different perspectives. You get to see different characters. You get to see, character development, character arcs. You get to see people fall and rise and experience life in different ways. So I can get to the end of a movie like that and go, like that's like rocked me and fundamentally changed who I am as a person in a way that allows me to go, like, let's use a more recent example. There was a I can't remember what it was called, but there was a documentary on what's happening in Palestine at the moment. It came out, a couple of months ago, and it's like you just watch it and you're just like, how can humans do this to one another? Television, in a positive way, can shine light on these atrocities and these things and show you these experiences, right? Television, in a negative loop, can show you the propagandized mass media explanation of what's happening. Yeah, two very different stories, same tool. We have the capacity, if we have the free will, which is another conversation. If we have the capacity to be like, I can choose which side of things I believe in, or choose to absorb or consume, because I think what we consume is a massive problem across the board, whether it be books or television or movies or whatever. We can choose which one of those we decide to lean into or buy into, or, my belief system is obviously like, I use television or cinema to experience things that I wouldn't have otherwise experienced. Yeah. Or at least watch other people experience those things. Whereas you're like, well, none of it's helpful. Whereas I'm like, well, I can watch this movie and go, I learned some things, or I was entertained. I think there's nothing wrong with being entertained. Some people choose to do Pilates. I choose to watch cool movies. All right.
Fuck Pilates.
I'm clipping that bit up and putting it on repeat. But like, do you understand what I mean? Like, I would imagine there would have been exactly the same arguments at the town square, on the painted porch in Athens, of Socrates talking about books being the thing, and then a guy on the other side being like, books are going to ruin your life because they teach you how to think. They create a systemized framework for you to have to look at this as go, this is the only way to think, which we know that books allow us an exploration into someone's life work or someone's story or, the depths of human suffering and connection, which is like, it's just another tool. Do go on.
Yeah.
But that's my feeling of it, right? Like, I don't know. And I definitely watch too much TV, right?
Well,
I love cinema for that reason. Yeah, like, granted, Love Actually kind of sucks, but I got to sit with a couple of my best friends in the world and we watch Love Actually, and we talk shit, we laugh, like we get connection in a different way. I think that enhances my life.
Agreed. I agree with that. So just to be clear, it's not to say these aren't useful tools, and I know they are. I just don't think we have. I think we're losing the grip on the ability to like control our focus.
Is that a collective thing though? Like,
yeah,
because I could speak to the 20 people I spend the most time with. And I would imagine that the majority of them would have a fair assessment of like, do you do too much or not enough of this? Do you lean on ChatGPT too much or not enough? Do you lean on Photoshop for the designers, right? Do you lean on, like for you as like the world you're getting out of, do you lean on, is there one tool you just use too much? Is that not helpful to fix aircon? Should you be using this other tool? You're like, well, no, this is the tool that helps me fix aircons and this is the outcome I want. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. And I think my point stands, what I'm getting at is when we're misusing tools and they're all great things to use. Like, agreed. Some of the, I watched a movie recently. What's it called? I don't know, but it's about a gymnast that hurts himself. He has everything going for him. He hurts himself.
Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
Yeah. Yeah, so I watched that.
There are no ordinary moments.
I get... yeah, Socrates.
Socrates.
Yes. My bad.
Phenomenal film, by the way.
Well, that's the movie I watched. I'm like, I got something out of that. But then it's easy for me...
Brilliant book.
Also. I've just ordered it.
Damn, Millman. Get around it.
I got it on illegally. I didn't buy it, but that's okay. I've got too many books I want to read.
Why be in the Navy when you could be a pirate?
Pirate Bay. Oh, those are the days. So like I do find a lot of use in it, and they are tools. But if you look at the technology and how these platforms are like ripping every little bit of attention, grabbing at any little bit of attention that you have, that's where I see the problem. Yeah. And so it's pretty extreme to be like fuck it all off. But it's like, unless you are using it to your advantage, it's likely that you're getting taken advantage of. And it's like...
if it's a free product, you're the product.
Yes. If you don't know what the product is, you're the product.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and watch Netflix, you're like, I'm not being sold to or whatever, but you could be watching a movie that has like, that's advertising something. Yeah. Whether it's a materialistic thing or a point of view or whatever, like an agenda. Yeah. And so if no one's ever stripped... back the layers far enough to know who they are at their core, that's where I think you should consider fucking it all off.
Yeah, only the Sith speak in absolutes, though. Which is an absolute within itself.
But just for a little while, I'm going to read books.
But maybe that's the thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to have a 3-month period where I, only read books, or a 3-month period where I don't drink alcohol, or a 3-month period where I do this. My challenge to that is... you're a big believer of agency, correct? It's a fundamental belief system for you. It's a core value. Like, I think and again, this is my belief system. I think we don't give ourselves and the people around us enough credit for their capacity to make good decisions. Yeah, mostly because there's a lot of proof that we make shit decisions often. But rather than being like, okay, well, the only way for me to abstain for this is to abstain from it completely, maybe watching a couple of less hours of TV a week is the thing. Maybe, clocking off from Instagram at 6 p.m. is the thing. But then it's like, if you find it's being a problem, then abstinence is probably the answer, potentially the answer, as long as we create a feedback loop where we either replace it with something that's helpful or useful, and we have really clear... arbitrary, but that's beside the point, arbitrary rules that we then abide by and lean into to then live a better life, right? Because the question I asked before was like, to what end? Like for me, it's like, enjoy the passing of time, to love and be loved, and to lean into the capacity for growth and development. Like they're kind of my 3 big rocks. And if I'm doing those 3 things, drinking a Negroni at 12 o'clock is part of that every now and again, right? Drinking a beer beer or two, with friends at a bar is like, it doesn't get much better than that. Like walking to Common Folk barefoot with you today, being like how good's our life that we can do this on a Tuesday. Like that's part of that. So I guess like watching a shitty Christmas movie with people I love, that's a part of that. But then we get to layer on and we have the agency to choose, what do I want? Why do I want it? And then we get to take action on that. And I think fundamentally we believe in really similar things. We're just coming at it from a different angle in terms of like, decide what you want, get on with it. Essentially, decide what's important to you, decide what you want, and do the things that like align to that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the point I'm making is a lot of distractions, like if it's not serving you, it's a distraction to me.
Yep.
They bumps you away from truth, like your truth from objective truth, however you want to look at truth. It's going to bump you away from that. And like, I've pondered on getting to the end of life and going, damn, I wasn't myself. I wasn't able to find what my truth was, and I wasn't able to settle into who I was here to be. And for me, like, it's pretty cool to look back to think I didn't have a great relationship with drinking. Yeah. So I don't drink anymore. Yeah. I could have a drink now and I'll be sweet. Yeah. It's a different story. I just don't care to even have a sip. I'm like, I'm just not fussed. But back in the day, and this is why it's important to me to know who you are and to find the direction. Yeah. I was drinking because like it was just how I grew up, was part of the culture, and I wasn't that confident in who I was or what I wanted. So then I'd drink, and then I would end up overdoing it, and then I'd regret the shit that I would say or do the next day. Yeah. And now looking back, I'm like, fuck, if I just had a little bit more sureness and agency about myself, I probably wouldn't have just defaulted to this shit to make me feel better in the moment. Yeah. Whereas it's like, if I knew that I had something crystal clear to work towards, it's pretty easy now to, even for me, it's like I'm dialed in with food. I'm dialed in with my consumption. Yeah. Like I don't have a TV at home. I fucking eat gluten once a week and it's a cheat meal and it might be like a croissant or something. Yeah. But I'm pretty dialed in and it's easy now. It's not like I'm not starving myself.
But you flex these muscles from a a capacity standpoint. Is like you weren't able to do that from the get-go, right? It was a process in understanding your belief system, understanding your values, understanding how those actions are how those things reflect in your actions, and then essentially just like sharpening the sword every day so that you get to a point where you're like, if you wanted to have a couple of beers now, you could, and you're not gonna be the same Paul that would have written himself off and not moved for 6 hours on a Sunday morning. Now you're like, well, the things that are important to me are agency, good decisions, family, like connection, all of those kind of things. But it's not necessarily like a beer isn't necessarily good or bad. It just is. And the way we utilize it, don't utilize it, choose to experience it is the thing that potentially, and I know you don't find the same way, is shift us more towards right or wrong or more towards good or bad.
Yeah. So obviously the most efficient way to approach it would be like, I'm okay with watching a show. Yep. I'm okay with using social media. I'm okay to have a beer and you do watch a show and then you go do your thing again. Yeah. But it's when you watch a show and another episode and there's fucking ads in between it and then you're like, oh, they mentioned this ad, like I just bought this thing I didn't fucking need. And it's just like, I can just see people lost and caught up in that. And because I was, and now I'm away from it. I'm like, oh, I'm only able to have this meta view or this outside perspective now because I understand social engineering and how I developed as a person to get sucked into doing shit that I didn't. Looking back, I'm like, yeah, that wasn't me. And I always admired people who were just on their path. No matter what it was, if like it was in high school, some dude was just into something that no one else was into, and if he just did that thing, I was always like, fuck, I like that, but I would never do it because I just got caught up in like...
the social anxiety of like, okay, what if someone doesn't like me or doesn't respect my decision or thing? Yep. Was there a moment or a time where you were like, you felt that shift? And if there was, what like book did you read, podcast, who did you talk to? What are you looking for?
Creative Act. I saw it.
It's over there. Rick Rubin. Creative Act. Yeah. But like this started happening for you way before that. That book's fucking 2 years old.
It did, but that that consolidated it all. It
Yeah, okay.
taught me how to be that guy in high school that did things because you wanted to do them.
Yeah.
So the seeds were planted, and I had other people like, I've got a friend, mentor, he's a kinesiologist, he's a healer, he's a super wise guy. And one day he said to me, he was doing a muscle test on me, and he was filming me, and he just goes, because you know how kinesiology works, like muscle testing, he said, just tell me what you love. And I was like, I love Lenny and Elise. And I was so stumped, and I was like, fuck, I don't even know how to articulate what I'm into.
Yeah.
What I love.
Yeah, that's a cool moment though to be able to look back at that.
Yeah, but like that's a little moment for me leading up to the book where I go, oh, I haven't considered that shit. And I say, oh, I love my family because everyone else says I love my family. And that's fine. I fucking love my family. I do, and so did everyone. But also, where's the agency to be like, I'm fucking going to decide to exist in this way, and I'm going to build my reality based on who I am and what my algorithm in my mind and my life experience points at, not like you just do it because, like I said before, everything around you wants to use you how it wants. Yeah. So it's just like taking complete control, which I don't think you can do if you're half in, half out. I really think you got to strip back the layers, decide, and it will probably change as you go, but you need to be honest, and that takes stripping back to butt naked sometimes.
Yeah, I like the analogy of like your operating system, right? It's like, you're like, I posted a story on this the other day. It's like, it's the worst advice we can give someone is to just be yourself. Initially, because like right now you're potentially a unevolved version of yourself. Yeah. What we should be doing is we should be peeling back those layers to understand what it is that is most important to you, what it is that you believe in, what you value, so that then everything that we do, say, think about, consume, aligns with those things. And then all we're doing is just consistently leveling up, evolving, transcending, whatever word you want to use, that version of ourselves to be someone that you can be proud of, that you can have a level of confidence and self-esteem and efficacy around, to be like, I am proud of who I am. Fundamental belief system for me. I'm immensely proud for who I am, but I'm also like hungry to continue to become who I'm becoming, right? Like that's a Venn diagram that for me, like both of those conflicting things are really important, because then the things that I do, and to like loop fully back around to the start of the conversation, the things I do, I want to walk into Virtus every day and make a meaningful contribution to the space, the experience, our members, in a way that if I was to do that every day, in 10 years, this place looks completely different. Yeah. We might still have the blue floor. We might still have a logo on the wall, but fundamentally this place is completely different. I want to look at myself and my development in exactly the same way. Yes, I'm going to potentially keep layering on the shit that I love to do, drink coffee, lift, hang out with you, read good books, like argue about shit that fundamentally doesn't really matter, but helps me consolidate my belief systems and my actions.
So are you essentially saying that in any given moment, what's being reflected in that moment is just a reflection of who you are in that moment? Is that what you're getting at? And then that will change as time goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like before we went for coffee before, and the question was like, who are you? And it's like, I'm a dad. I was like, yeah, but outside of being a dad, who are you? I was like, well, I'm a husband. I was like, okay, outside of being a husband, who are you? Like, I'm a coach. I'm a boss. I'm someone that likes training. And it's like, I find it fascinating to be able to peel back the self, for lack of a better term, like, and understand and zoom out and, like, see all of the layers of that, of like, all right, I am my beliefs. I am the things that I value, that I tell myself I value, right? And then it's like the conversation of, okay, well, am I, and this is probably the shift that you made that made the biggest difference, is like, am I an active participant in my life, or am I just going with whatever the world tells me to do, right? And I think our growth as humans comes from the moment when we're like, okay, I am both an active participant in my life, and I'm also observing the thoughts, ideas, things that I have from a place that allows me to make judgment's the wrong word, make an assessment on those things, to be like, that's a useful thought, I'm going to utilize that. That's an idea that I think would be beneficial. Yeah. And for me, it's like, okay, well, if I'm doing those things and I'm utilizing the people around me, the environments I spend time in, the tools that I have available to me to enhance my active participation in my life, which is just another word for agency, I guess. And then, but also the observation of like my beliefs and my thoughts and things like that, then I can make better decisions to live more fundamentally in a space that is both, this is exactly who I am, but it's also encompasses an unknown of who am I becoming.
Yeah, to me, that's a good pendulum like analogy to use. It's always swinging back and forth between the present moment and then what you're building, and it's like you don't really just exist in one or the other.
Yeah. But there's so much value in what you were saying before of just reducing things to a point where you're like, be where your feet are.
Yeah.
But you can't just go, I'm just going to go hang out in the woods because this is like how life works. There's constant movement. If you just went and sat in the woods, eventually you'll at least be like, dude, are you going to come home or what, right? There needs to be that element of like, well, I'm building these things to support my family, to create space for Forry to be the best version of himself, right? Like if you were to just go, well, I'm not going to worry about the present the future, and I'm not going to worry about the past, I'm only going to worry about the present moment. There's part of that isn't useful for the life that you want your kids to have access to, right?
Yeah,
so it's
part
like
of it. You have to consider it for sure. Yeah. But then it's the fisherman thing. It's almost like right now I like getting up, having a coffee on the grass in the sun. The kids are crawling on us, and Elise and I are talking.
Yeah, perfect.
I like doing that. And when I was getting up and going to do air conditioning, I was like, oh, one day we can just like, get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the thing. I've decided to do personal training now and run these nature immersions, and I'm like, that gives me the opportunity to do that now. But I didn't know that I wanted to do this shit until I fucking sat down. I was like, what do I want? Who am I? What do I value? How am I going to get there? And I just couldn't do that when I was so fucking busy with 2 kids and working. I had an air conditioning business, and I was, like the kids, and then at least had her thing. Yeah, a busy boy. And it's like, you never give yourself the opportunity to tap into like what really matters. So I do that by going to the woods. It's an analogy, but it's also like when I come home and I'm sitting there on the ground, on the grass, having the coffee, I can be in that moment now. A bit different to, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, fucking, what have I got to do to get more of this? Yeah. It's like, it's fucking here. Yes. You don't just sit there and be like, I want more. You just have it. Yeah. And that's it.
But there's so much value to both sides of thinking, right? It's like, you shouldn't, like, there's an element of like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to go to the woods 3 days to realize that I like being with my family. But there's also like, sometimes with all of the chaos of our existence, going to the woods 3 days allows me to distill what is most important. And if we can live in both of those worlds at the same time, you go, what do I need right now? And I go, well, actually just need to sit in the grass with my family and have a coffee this morning, and like this is perfect. Like, I can't remember whose quote it is, but it's like, tell me your definition of paradise. It's like this morning drinking coffee with her is you could Google it, or you can just assume that someone said it at some point. We don't need to know the answers, right? But I think the fundamentally breaking all of this down, this whole conversation is like, understand what you want and what's important to you, and then like try and build your life around those things. Yeah? And go on Paul's nature immersions.
Well, I mean, yes, do that.
Pencil,
for sure.
Pencil me in.
Do that. All right, you're in. Well, I'll run a group one because a lot of people are keen. I think a lot of people are caught up in like the buzz and the chaos, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's only getting more. So there is a lot of interest. So I'll definitely put it out there and you're first on the list. But just to add to what you were saying as well, there's a million ways to get to what I'm talking about. There's so many ways. I have used these ways myself, and it just fucking makes sense to me. As soon as I went out to that hut in the woods, and my feet hit the ground, and I sat there and I put everything away, and I was just soaking. I could hear birds, I could hear cicadas. There was like grass crunching under my feet, and I was just like, wow. Like, I dropped into a completely different state of being. And in that moment, I was like, I'm bringing some people away who need this.
That's cool.
And I fucking knew that. And because I'd pondered, like, how do I want to make money? How do I want to build my life? How do I want to spend time with the family? Not being a tradesman. It's a tool to get me to this point. It's there if I need to go back to it. But there's other ways to do it.
Burn the boats, mate. Burn the boats.
Yeah, pretty much. It's sort of what I've done. So,
throw your tools off a bridge or something.
And then all of a sudden it's like I'm having more and more of these moments, and it does actually force me to make it happen as well. Not force me. It's like it's an encouraging
positive
push.
pressure.
Yeah. And again, it's hard to, when you're so busy, it's hard to think of what's true to you when there's other things gnawing at you.
Quiet and noise.
Yeah. That's it. And like I said before, it's that pull's being felt more and more. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I need to lean into this.
But when you have the space to actually like exhale and listen, like you feel the pull more, right? Like if you were just like putting aircons on the roofs all day, you'd be thinking and listening and consuming and stuff, but you probably wouldn't have the space to have these realizations or cultivate the understanding in a way that you have now.
When I was out in the woods, I just fucking kept reaching for my phone. I'm like,
that's so interesting.
I'm like, I don't even have it here. And then that went away after the first day. And then I could sink in. Yeah. And then I did one more day. And then I was like, it needs to be 4 days. That would be perfect. Because the second day, I went for a hike. And then that took up a bit of like stimulation. And I was like, I only had really half a day to sit there and properly ponder. Yeah. I'm like, I want to be bored. To me, good shit always happens when I'm bored. Your brain works differently. And when I have a pen and paper, you process the information that drops in completely differently compared to like if you just record it digitally and then plug it into AI.
You can never write as fast as you can think.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at.
That's the
maybe
value.
We're not fucking supposed to.
That's why I love journaling so much, is because you're writing a sentence and you have to you fucking bounce on the sentence 3 or 4 times while you're writing it. Yeah. Feedback loop.
Yeah, mine's horrible though. Yeah. I'll edit a sentence before I finish the thought. I could use a better word for that. I could articulate that better.
Every first draft is shit.
Well, I'll just do voice notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a voice note folder. I've got about 200 voice notes in there.
Every time you put a voice note in your chat, I'm like, oh fuck, now I have to actually sit and listen to it, which is a positive thing, right? But then like I like reading words and like, but then it's a language thing, and you might have, riffed on something in voice that you can't say in the same way in text, and yeah, it's so interesting. I think the
free flowing, moment of just pure consciousness, and nothing's coming through, nothing's being edited. I'm liking that, and I love it when other people do it now. Yeah. I'm fucking so burnt out by little 1 minute videos on like 1 minute reels that just like pack too much in and they're hopping around. And it's like, and a bit of that has also made me realize, I'm like, when our kids are watching TV and stuff, that's there from a very young age. Their brain's being shaped to like process information that's so fast paced, lots of fucking colors, witty lines in between scenes.
I just show my girls like 1940s cinema, so it's all black and white, and there's this slow over the top acting and stuff. Yeah. But again, there's different variations of all of these things, which I think's important. You probably should go see Family or something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like your growth has been immense. I'm very proud of you. So good from you, and I'm really excited to see the growth of PW World. See what you cultivate, because I know like the best thing is it's coming from a place of like authenticity, of love, and of a desire to make the world a better place, which I think fundamentally is what you're here for, what we're all here for, why billionaires shouldn't exist, and all of the other aspects of this.
Brother, thank you. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear that from you. So
pleasure as always. Any more? Got anything to tell the people?
No, that's about it. Go read The Creative Act.
Phenomenal book.
Have a good day.